I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the March 2026 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a whole lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. Starting off the month with a 2-for-1 in extensions that run on overhead wires, we have the long-awaited Sound Transit Link Light Rail 2-line extension between South Bellevue and International District Chinatown across a floating bridge opening on March 28th, and South Shore Line's West Lake Corridor extension creating a new branch line between Hammond and Dyer, Indiana, opening on March 31st. The first of the two had undoubtedly more fanfare and news about the project, as the 2-line was finally connected to the mainland Seattle via Mercer Island and Judkins Park, in which the western section over Lake Washington features the world's first floating light rail bridge. Mostly funded by Microsoft in order to connect Bellevue and the engineering tech center of the region, the newest segment of this extension itself is just a few miles long, but was one of the most anticipated segments of roughly any Sound Transit expansion out there. Furthermore, this extension was one of the most challenging out of any transit project from an engineering standpoint, since it not only included the conversion of a bus rapid transit line to light rail, but it also utilized specialized tracks that distribute forces evenly when trains travel over the pontoon bridge. With the one-seat ride from Bellevue to Seattle finally open, thousands of people attended the opening ceremony along with several transit celebrities, such as Classy Whale, who was kind enough to let me use footage for this segment and make editing a whole lot easier, as lines at each station to ride the first trains were more than a quarter-mile long, all while various local activities and standboards were set up at the nearby stations to celebrate the line's opening. Moving to almost the East Coast, South Shore Line held a smaller but equally exciting opening ceremony to celebrate the opening of their long-awaited West Lake Corridor, in which they converted the former Monon Rail Line segment to segments of single-tracked and double-tracked commuter rail, or interurban lines, all the way down from Chicago Millennium Station to Dyer, Indiana, although this new station does not connect with the existing Amtrak Dyer station, which only sees service from the Tri-Weekly Cardinal. Complete with several new bridges and 3 new stations with 1 future infill station, this 8-mile extension from Hammond represents a new branch for the historically single-branch large South Shore Line Interurban Railway, as it also marks the first transit expansion in the state of Indiana in decades. With so many long-awaited transit projects finally seeing the start of revenue service, this month is especially a great time to be a public transit enthusiast in North America, as we've had so many great projects open over the past few months alone. These are once again great reasons as to why we should continue to advocate for more projects like this, seeing how much good they bring to their respective communities, and I can't wait to see which major long-awaited project will open next. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. Mexico City is to consider building a train from Mexico City to Phoenix and Tucson. Trendmine has begun testing GVOs on freight trains. Namibia is to convert their Class 33s, or GEU 20Cs, to run on hydrogen. Oslo has made a high-speed rail grinding train for CRRC. Zia SSK has released multiple Siemens Vectron designs. The Toshiba HDB 800 has been scrapped. Poland has converted an NS Class DM90 into a HMU. NS has painted a livery created by an 8-year-old on a 4000 series train set, while the same road has also created a mini trackbot for installing ETCS. Southwestern Railways wrapped one of their Class 701 sets in a Legoland ad. The British Royal Train is to be discontinued. Tom Scott is to return to making videos. Regular shows to return to Cartoon Network in May. Baffinland Iron Mine Company is to create a new mining road in Nunavut. Caltrain is named a Statler Kiss set after Nancy Pelosi. Caltrain F40s have been leased by Amtrak for Caltrans service. Amtrak has fully wrapped the Surfliner coach in a FIFA World Cup ad. The STB has rejected Union Pacific's lease renewal for the Kansas and Oklahoma Railroad. Norfolk Southern Erie Heritage Unit towed a broken Amtrak LC42 running light. NW SD4A-2 number 6162 is to be leased for freight service by the Kentucky Steam Heritage Corp. The LNWC painted the smallest America 250 engine in revenue service. Our Picture Archives underwent a website rebrand along with Trains Magazine. I finally purchased an HO scale brass model of the Pennsylvania Railroad 4663, aka the Streamlined Doodlebug. Washington, D.C. Union Station now has a live rail cam courtesy of Capital Rail Watch. NJT has started scrapping some of their PL42 ACs. The NYC subway could order up to 2,400 R262s, and Sunnyside Yard in Queens could have a massive residential development constructed on top of it, with this proposal now being brought up by Mayor Mondami again for the first time in years. Now here's the follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. The Portal North Bridge has started service on the Northeast Corridor. Amtrak HHPHC NPCUs have entered service on the Northeast Regional. The DC streetcar has been shut down and will be replaced by buses. One North Star set and two North Star engines have been sold to Trinity Railway Express. RJ Corman is to use autonomous freight cars from Intramotiv on some of their routes, while former Wabtec CEO Ray Bettler has joined the Intramotiv board. The Isaac Walton Inn is for sale after shutting down operations. Ontario Northland has acquired Canadian National trackage between North Bay and Washago. Network Rail has begun testing their quantum navigation systems. Brest has opened their Tramline B. Stadler Smile EMUs have started service on westbound, while Siemens Miro EMUs have been delivered for OBB Railjet. Shinkansen E3 HSTs converted to carry freight have entered revenue service. And Union Pacific has confirmed that Big Boy 4014 will be in Philadelphia on the 4th of July for its coast-to-coast tour by using the former NKP and Pennsylvania main lines owned by NS. In other news, Front Range Passenger Rails is hosting a naming contest for their service, with Fred being one of the fan favorites among others. Ridgewood Infrastructure has acquired the Sierra Railroad. Heavy Haul Rail has taken over operations of Freightliner as Medway started freight service in France using former SNCF engines. Leon Railways has started service in Romania, along with Fior Traffic TFI in the same country. GoVolta has started service between Amsterdam and Berlin, along with European Sleeper between Berlin and Paris. FS has acquired Titagar Firema Leasing. Groenendaal Station has reopened in the Netherlands. Leo Express has introduced service between Warsaw and Krakow. Polish name that I can't pronounce has purchased Stadler Flirts. The German name that I can't pronounce Tram has started service. Belgrade, Serbia is to construct a driverless metro. Egypt has opened their Eastern Nile monorail, while Delhi Metro opened their lines 7 and 8. Kemtas Young has been appointed as the new CoRail CEO. OpenAI has shut down their video-making platform Sora. And Kavik and OnTrain are to purchase the Alstom Trax MS3, while Alpha Trains and Lineas are to purchase the Stadler Euro 9000. Hector Rail is considering purchasing Stadler Euroduals. Skoda and ZOS are to build the largest EMU order for ZSSK. Capt is to deliver 70 EMUs for Belgrade's commuter rail. Ave is to purchase new HSTs, while Taiwan Railways has purchased the Shinkansen N700 ST. Alstom APM is to make LRVs for Tampa Airport. Cebu Railways is to make a dining EMU, while the same railroad also introduced their LOOs autonomous people movers. The Sotetsu Railway has also introduced their Class 13,000 series. KAAD released the RE2500 as the first switcher to be domestically produced in Turkey. TFNSW has started testing their Captivity hybrid MUs. The Nipro has placed their K1T306 tram into service. Renfe leased their XDB coaches to Leo Express. Stadler RE465011 has been painted into a blank Stadler livery, while SNCF BB22379 has been painted into a Heritage SNCF livery. ScotRail has purchased British Rail Class 222s. Ennis is to rebuild their SC70M-2s into SC70 ICCs. Rocky Mountaineer has acquired an EMD SD60. Omnitrax has released a refurbished business car. Twin Forks NRHS has placed their LARR/B&M Osgood Bradley coach for sale. The Danbury Railing Museum has acquired a Boston and Maine SW1 number 1127. Dollywood is to reconvert their steam engines back to oil burning. U.S. Sugar has sold Atlantic Coastline number 1504 to the Tennessee Valley Railway Museum. Milwaukee Road 261 is to host America 250 excursions. And Metra F40C number 611 has been donated to Railroading Heritage of Midwest America. And happy 50th anniversary to the DC Metra. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Thomas leading an intermodal. And now, the top story of the March 2026 Pensyfan Periodical is 3 Class 1s release America 250 liveries. With the 250th birthday of America now just months away, 3 Class 1 railroads have finally revealed their America 250 liveries, CPKC, CN, and UP, thus continuing the tradition of creating American-themed bicentennial units from 50 years prior. Surprisingly, the first 2 railroads to release their semi-quincentennial commemorative units are the 2 Canadian Class 1s, albeit with half of their trackage being American due to acquisitions over the years, as Canadian National was the first Class 1 to release their units on the main line. Specifically 2 of them, GE Evolution Series 1776 and 2026, the former of which contains a unique combo of camo on the front, a streaming eagle on the side, and then the American flag taking up the rest of the long hood, possibly drawing inspiration from the Illinois Central's bicentennial unit, while the latter contains more standard white, red, and dark blue stripes with a recognizable white CN band towards the front. About a week later, rivaling Canadian Class 1 Canadian Pacific Kansas City, or CPKC, released their America 250 unit, which was also painted on the Chivo numbered 1776, this time being the simpler and more recognizable adaptation of the existing CPKC livery, in which the yellow and black were swapped out with white and blue respectively, in addition to more white stripes. Lastly, the first American railroad to showcase their America 250 livery a few weeks later was fittingly Union Pacific, the oldest and most famous of the 4 American Class 1s, but instead of creating a unique livery based on the American flag, they simply stamped 2 American flags and America 250 logos on an SD70M and renumbered it to 1776. Around the same time, the same railroad released a livery for a Chivo that could have counted as an America 250th livery, but was instead painted in honor of President Trump and was numbered 4547. I'm not going to go too in depth about the latter of the 2 UP engines, but some people wonder as to why 1776 was given a livery with minimal changes, and I think that could be due to timing with UP's 2014 Big Boy Coast to Coast tour, as the railroad likely needed something America 250 related quick that they could put behind Big Boy 4014, as well as number 1660 commemorating Abraham Lincoln, who established the Union Pacific, especially seeing how 4014 is already on the move for its cross-country tour now as I'm writing the script. Technically, you can also argue that this could be a heritage unit for Union Pacific, seeing how the American flags on the sides is no longer the standard livery for UP as of a few years ago, though it's still the most common UP livery that can be seen out there. Almost every Railfan across North America has something to say about each of these units, with there being almost no one clear general consensus for any engine in particular, other than UP 1776 being a bit underwhelming due to its otherwise standard appearance. But nevertheless, it's exciting to see more Class 1s finally releasing their official America 250 liveries, as the anticipation builds more and more as we get closer to the actual anniversary of America's 250th, as it'll be exciting to see where these America 250 units end up next, as well as what the remaining 3 Class 1s will have to offer. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.